Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the Daily Market Insight for Wednesday, the 25th of April. All right, as we come out of Tuesday's North American market, equity market's a little bit lower. And if anything, we've got more of a traditional market, right? Back in the day, equities would fall and the US dollar would fall. And that's sort of basically what we've seen. So the whole risk on, risk off scenario, forget about it because it's not in play at the moment. And this can happen in the last week of the month. All right, now, just having a quick look at what's driving the markets. And this is the most common part of the last week of the month. You start to get a lot of rumors, news, various sort of little things that the market usually wouldn't sort of focus on coming into play. Now, concerns about the US debt ceiling coming into play, optimism about oil prices. You know, it's all a little bit too much for my liking, but, you know, tech stocks, it's the earnings season. So there's a lot of pressure there. The equity markets are worried about some things. Now, when the market, when the media gets into this frame of mind, the markets will just go up and down a little bit, slide here and there, right? And we are starting to see a little bit of that at the moment. If I just come over to the charts, where are we? Okay, so wrong page. Right, so just having a look at these charts, just having a look what I was looking at yesterday, right? With the currencies that are sort of in these little sort of sub-trend channels, dollar yen still within the range. There's no major changes here, right? The only thing that's changed, the dollar index is just drifted a little bit lower. Euro's a fraction higher, and Kiwi is just probably taking out a few weak stops. But I like the idea of this because I know later in the week, the Kiwi, we've got these ANZ business confidence numbers. That could give us a good opportunity to get short Kiwi. So I like to see it rally ahead of that. Gives you better levels to sell. Everything else is pretty much in play, right? So, or as it was. And this is because the big stuff is next week. So all we need to be doing is really focusing on what's coming out today and what could influence the markets. Now, if you have a look across the board here, and I've just got the high impacting data highlighted there. It's a holiday in Australasia, Australia, New Zealand, Anzac Day. So that don't expect too much out of that. But as you come into the US market, consumer confidence numbers there, new home sales, I think you got the S&P Case-Shiller numbers there as well. But really, you know what? There's not much going on, and it's all about the earnings season on the stock. So where things really do kick off, it's actually Thursday, right, with the Aussie CPI numbers. That's what you want to be sort of looking for, right? And that'll give us directions into what the RBA is doing next week. And that's where, you know, you should put your attention because at the moment, when you look across the various instruments here, it's not as clear as day exactly what's going on, right? You're getting slow little moves. As I said, the news that comes out on the outlets, this is where they do get a little bit loose as far as presenting what's real and what's not. Don't forget, they've got to fill up their pages with various articles. So you do get a lot of crap hitting the pages. Don't pay attention to it. Focus on what is important. We are looking for US numbers this week. Obviously, the Aussie CPI is a key one there as well. And looking to see what influence that's going to have over the Fed. Well, we've got the RBA, the Fed, and the ECB meetings next week. Now, the market is already starting to price in some interest rate cuts in the US, right? And you might be sort of wondering, well, why are they going to be raising rates in May, on the 4th of May, and then cutting for the rest of the year, right? Well, this little hike, okay, it's not a given. And actually, while I was on that, let me just show you something else because there was an interesting article here that may actually end up being something a little bit bigger. If I just come back to the tech markets, let's go to FX. I don't know about you guys, if you're having trouble with your charts, every time TradingView update their charts, my charts go a little bit haywire. But this is what I was looking at, right? And it's a news article that doesn't seem to be getting a lot of news time. Or a lot of headlines, which it should. First Republic Bank deposits tumble more than 100 billion as it explores options, right? This is another one of those big lenders that, you know, probably came under pressure when SVB was, you know, under the pump. And now they're saying their deposits have dropped by 100 billion. Now, they got 30 billion from the Fed to keep things going, right? So this is another subsidiary bank, massive amount of money that is talking about their earnings, right? This is where it came out with the earnings season. This is what we're finding around these companies releasing their profits. Their profits were above forecast, but then they came out with saying Well, this is what's happening. All the money's falling out of the accounts. Everyone's pulled their cash out. We've got no money. We're going to have to sack half or a quarter of the staff. Salaries are getting diminished. This is pretty big, right? And it's only a small story at the moment, but this could snowball. If these guys are under the pump, you can be sure as hell any other lenders would be absolutely getting choked, right? They've got no cash to lend. So this is, something to keep in mind as we go forward, right? So anyway, that's like a little sub story that's building. The main thing, obviously, once again, is just keeping track of what's going on in the market, what's real and what's not. Keep an eye on the equity markets. The traditional risk on, risk off profile is not in play at the moment. We are looking at independent short-term trades this week ahead of the major central bank meetings next week. So to me, there's not much worth sitting in front of your screens today. You're wasting your time. Come back. Really kicks off tomorrow, and that's where we'll see a lot of the data across Australia, Europe, and obviously the US as well. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a good one. Cheerio.